have 7:31, so I will call the meeting to order and appoint Mike Speltz to vote for Bob Maxwell, yes. And first up is Wilson Road. Oh, incoming. Yay, Deb. Hi,
Hi, good evening.
are you freezing?
So we're here this evening to talk about a CUP. We had been before you guys before for this project, and we ended up at the planning board. And in some of the third-party review stuff, they had said, "Oh, you may need a CUP. You got to go to see the Conservation Commission." And I was like, "Well," I answered it saying, "Well, I already went to see the Conservation Commission," and but then it basically we got approved for the subdivision with the caveat that I come back and go through the whole process and just get my CUP straightened out.
Okay.
So the two things that I need a CUP for the wetland buffer, we don't actually have any wetland impacts at all. But the wetland buffer, there's the one up within the development where it's 1,065 square feet. And that's just the end of a swale to get it to daylight out to the rear of the property. For the roadway improvements, we needed to put a big detention pond in close to Wilson Road.
There's our little remote there. If you push the
Oh, you know what?
top button, I believe. Try one more. It might be dead. Sorry.
Oh,
No, this doesn't look like it has any pointer. Anyway, the 1,065 square foot, it's literally just for the last little bit of a swale to get it to daylight, and that's it. The other part that we need I guess we need a CUP for, it's all within the road right of way. It is that 3,000 square feet or 3,698 square feet is all just within the roadway right of way. The wetland starts in our property, and it's for the drainage improvements along the road to like take the embankment down and put ditches in and get the drainage to work correctly. So that's what the CUP is for in the road right of way. But when we were here before you guys last, we had not done our site walks with the planning board. We have done all that now, and one of the big significant changes was we're going to rip up the whole road. We're going to take the whole road out and do basically a brand new paved road the whole way through, with drainage on a little bit of drainage on both sides now. Like our side, the subdivision side of the road is completely redone, and there were two low spots on the other side of the road that were identified that the road was basically the drainage has nowhere to go. So we actually put in two catch basins on the other side and brought the drainage across to our detention ponds. So there's a couple areas that even the other side of the road is getting fixed with what we ended up getting approved for. So you guys had made the recommendation to the planning board that it seemed like a good project before, and it's even better now, and the planning board has already approved it. Hopefully, you guys feel like it's okay.
I do have a question.
Yep.
I'm assuming the no-cut line with the trees, that is a buffer line? Because if the wetland's yellow, then there's a buffer out, right? I just don't see it.
Yeah, there's a 50-foot buffer around each
Right,
of the
and is
wetlands.
it- Right, but I don't see it on the plan. And maybe it's just my eyes.
I think it's because I did shading on it, and so if you look at right in the middle where the wetland comes down all the way to the
Yeah.
road, on either side of that wetland, there's a 50-foot area that
Right.
is undisturbed.
But I guess it's all mixed up with too many other things going on at the same time. Well, the reason
Yeah.
I ask is because of the fourth from the left. You've got the house very close to that buffer, which I can't tell if it's there or not.
Yeah,
It's a no-cut buffer.
that detention pond is shaped to run right along the edge of the wetland
No,
buffer.
the house, the shape of the house. Or is that
this, right here, Deb?
those? Yes.
Oh, the house is just in an arbitrary location, but that, I
Okay,
believe it's outside, even that is outside of the 50-foot buffer.
Well, it should be, but it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be touching it, and it should have enough
That,
space
that
around
is,
it.
I have no idea where that house is gonna end up going. This is
Okay,
just
so
representative
If
saying,
you allow enough around the houses that they
yep,
won't be trying to cut the buffer down.
yep.
And there'll be buffer
And I was
signs.
gonna say, you.
Yeah, no, there will be buffer plaques along
Beat
there.
me to it.
Yeah, we had to show representative areas of where houses would kind of sit on the lot, but when they pull building permits, the house will not likely be that shape or size or anything in the end.
But you are gonna install the wetland buffer
Yes,
signs
correct.
before the houses go
Correct.
in.
Yep, correct.
Did I hear you say that there's detention ponds that are going into the, I guess it'd be the east side of the of the road?
No, there's, we're gonna install 2 culverts that go and collect the drainage from the east side of the road and bring it back to our side.
So how does the water get into those culverts?
The roadway drainage has been designed on the east side, like we're actually fixing the ditches a little bit to go down into those catch basins that we're putting in.
And can you tell me, I know each lot looks like it's a little bit different size, but how large is this? I'm sure it's in that plan set somewhere, but I couldn't find it. How large is the smallest lot?
The smallest lot,
Yeah, the one on the left as we're looking at it here.
I'd have to look at S&H's S&H Land Services subdivision plan. I think it's an acre and a half is the minimum size, but I think they're all adequately sized. And the third party review had gone through on all of that and signed off on all of the lot sizing. And the planning board went through and approved the plan already.
Yeah, I'm actually coming at it from the other direction. They all, a lot of them have wetlands in the back. Why go so deep with these lots? I mean, it's just a subdivision, you could do whatever you wanted, right? As long as you made the 1.5 acres.
S&H Land Services had done all the lot sizing on these. I think because there was some wetlands in some of those lots that they had to go a little bit deeper when you take away the wetland areas from the lot size.
Oh,
That doesn't sound right.
What's that?
Doesn't sound right to me. There's a lot of land there. I don't know what direction you're going.
If it's
but-
wet, then it's not usable.
Well, I'm assuming the wet is the yellow,
Yes, correct.
so, I don't know, it looks like there's a,
Yeah, some of them may very well be a little bit oversized, but the remainder parcel that this is all coming out of, I think ends up being 115 acres to the rear, so.
well, what's your reason for asking the question, Mike?
because I don't know what's gonna become of that remainder
Oh,
parcel.
okay, right.
It doesn't look like it's gonna be easy to develop because they've skimmed off the low-hanging fruit several places along the
Oh,
road
right.
here. So I'm interested in trying to let that remainder parcel encompass as much of these wetlands as it's possible and still be consistent with the requirement for, lot size.
The front lot, the lots that we're developing here are all the correct sizes that we need for frontages and acreages and everything else off of Wilson Road. If you go further down this, back in 2016 or 17, the rest of the parcel had been subdivided off. So from Wilson Road side, there won't be any more subdivision off of this side, and there won't be access into there to do any more development off of the Wilson Road side. I think there may be access from another road, like from a completely different place for that lot, and I have no idea whether Charlie has any intention of developing any more of that lot. I mean, I know a lot of it is wetland out in the main part of it. I think we had gotten a waiver for having to even topo and do wetlands on it because it's real swampy out back. So It's a really large parcel. There won't be any further subdivision at all off of Wilson Road. And that's about all I can tell you about it.
I think in our comments, we should recommend that the planning board consider reducing the size of the lots that, to meet the minimum requirements in order to preserve as much of the,
The subdivision plan is already approved. I'm coming back basically as an after the fact, just for the wetland buffer.
CUP, right.
But the subdivision itself has already been approved. All the roadway improvements have been approved. I'm in conditions of approval at this point. So literally, the only thing I'm going back to the planning board is just for the two little wetland buffer
Right.
impacts at this point.
Well, it's too bad that we missed a step, which we should have had a chance to.
Well, I did come to you before I
we've been-
went to the
Yeah.
planning
Okay.
board.
We just didn't notice it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did come here before the planning board, before it was approved by the planning board. The only piece of it I missed was, to make sure I had the
Dotting the i's
CUP
and crossing
portion
the
of it.
t's.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
have to
no objection?
tuck our tail between our leg and
I
admit
make a
defeat.
motion that we recommend approval of the CUP to the planning board.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Deb, second by Jean. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained,
Thank you very much.
passes unanimous. Anyone for public comment?
Oh. Let me see, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Ray Breslin, 3 Gary Drive, and thank you for allowing me to comment. Can I comment about that?
Absolutely.
Okay. You know, I was out for that site walk.
Oh, you went?
Yeah. And I walked along, oh, the picture's gone.
I'll bring it back up.
Yeah. I walked down along here, we all did, yeah. And the pitch on the road is this way. Okay, so in other words, it's lower on this side, pretty much all along here. And they're talking about putting a retention basin over here and putting the culvert underneath to go over into this area here. Water doesn't flow uphill. Sure, they're gonna have to have the culvert a heck of a lot lower on this side than it is on this side. But that's irrelevant at this point, because it's already been approved. But
Not
it,
probably, I would hope, when it went through engineering, that they would have
yeah,
recognized.
yeah, I'm sure they looked at all of that. But,
Well, that, and I'm not sure that that's the location of the culvert, like, they may send it to a less, they may send it where it's closer to the other side's level.
yeah, I
But-
mean, I, the engineer and so forth's been all through this. The planning board's been through this, they've approved it, so I guess it's irrelevant at this point. So, moving on. You folks in the Conservation Commission do some great work, or at least try to do some great work. Sometimes your hands are tied to a degree. But I think the comprehensive environmental study that was done, and I think you folks were involved in
One of them.
getting that.
Yeah.
That was the water,
There's two studies, one
one
was
quality, one,
a quantity, right?
yeah.
Right.
but the comprehensive environmental was done extremely well, okay? And then for the most part, it was kind of put on the shelf, which cost, I don't know, $45,000, whatever. It was done extremely well. And so here we are, you know, on the utility committee, the water subcommittee, the sewer, all of that that I'm involved with, Mike's involved with, and others. And, you know, we're trying to have some effect, but sometimes we need help. And we need to work together. And I think the Conservation Commission should have a lot to say, or should be listened to. So, and then we talk about natural resources in the town of Londonderry. And we talk about the master plan that is being worked on now. And I've gone to some of those meetings or watched them. And we have Southern New Hampshire Planning helping the town of Londonderry, and we appreciate their help. But the town has to steer the ship. And one of the most important things is a natural resource inventory for the town of Londonderry. And if you look at the 2013 master plan, there's a little bit in there, not much. Not much. And when I look at other towns, other small towns, or big towns, they have a whole section in there about natural resource, you know, their town. And I think it's so vitally important that we, as citizens, or if we happen to be on a committee, be listened to and make sure that when they do this master plan, whether it's a revision or whether it's a completely new one, that a natural resource inventory is in there. And by the way, going back to, and Mike was involved with it and others, with the 2000, what was it? 2001? I don't know, way back.
It was a long time ago.
A long time ago, that it was done.
Yes, it was.
It was done.
Ray, maybe I can save you a little bit here.
Yep.
Uh,
No, go ahead.
I recently wrote all the members of the Master Plan Steering Committee a detailed comment, and the points that are made were that, number one, the plan is drafted, ignores open space. And I pointed them to the plan you're referring to, which I think was from 2013.
Well, I think it was even before that, but whatever.
Well, that was the second one.
Yeah.
So, and I urged them to incorporate it into the master plan, or at a minimum, reflect some language that I gave them, and then attach it as a appendix to the master plan. However, it is out of date. There are properties that are in that plan identified as having natural resources that have been developed and they no longer have. So it's got to be updated, but it's not, I don't think we need to start from scratch.
No.
So are we saying green infrastructure map
Right.
is the same thing as a natural resource inventory?
I'm making that argument.
Okay, I just wanted to
I
be
mean,
clear on that, because I was,
It's not just the map, right? There's 60 or so pages of
okay.
things, of maps and figures and words.
Because
in
my
there.
question was gonna be like, you know, how we did the water quality and quantity,
Right.
who would do this natural resource inventory?
Well, it'd be
we'd
the
have to
guy
hide-
sitting right over there if you do it on GIS.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well,
That's how we
Like-
did it.
Like information from Granite type stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
I would suggest we can also get assistance from New Hampshire DES even Southern New Hampshire Planning and others that can assist us in some of this. I mean, Mike is, you can do it well, maybe without any help. But I just think it's so vitally important. And you know, and then some people a little confused as to what natural resources are. It's not just water. It's not just forestry. It's not just wetland. It's what's in the ground. What's in the ground also. Whether it's sand, gravel, rock, whatever, and we are dealing with some issues with some of our good business friends. That would be Continental, that has a large mining operation, and that's okay. They're probably doing a good job. But, you know, and then we have others that are potentially happening. The one up off 28, Rockingham Road, with all due respect to Mr. Evans, that's a mining operation that is a runoff for a little Coas Brook. And yes, he's a business guy. He's got an operation there, and he's following the law, and he's not technically doing anything wrong. But I just went to a meeting up in Concord today, and that's on about protecting certain properties. You know, okay. And we have done that here, right? Right out and back here, and other properties that the town has, and you folks have taken steps to protect a lot of property. So, I'm preaching to the choir.
We still love it.
Yeah, so, and then, wait a minute, and then we got the US EPA coming in on what,
Thursday. at
Thursday.
6:30.
Is it at 6:30? Or 6?
I don't know, I think it was Thursday, because I didn't think it was a night I could get here.
It's
Wait a
this
minute.
Thursday. I thought I wrote the time, but I didn't.
Wait a minute.
I think it's 6:30.
No, wait a minute.
This is the,
US
we're
EPA
talking
meeting
about
at
the,
EPA
One-
about the
about the
tinker.
tinker.
1
Yeah.
PM.
yeah, that's what I
What
thought.
is it?
1 PM, wait a minute, what people that are working can go to a meeting at this importance at 1 PM?
Yeah,
I
but
don't think it is at 1 p.m.
I think it is, because I think it is, because I just was reading it today.
Yeah, and
Got
then
the letter.
I think they were gonna
Got
have
the
a
letters
subsequent
at
one
Nevins.
in the evening later on or something.
There's, well, what they often do is they do like a walk and talk thing. They posters and they have people to explain. And then they have, the first one is not a public hearing, as I understood from the letter.
Okay.
The second one is the public hearing.
Right.
That would be,
That's right. The first one's just informational.
yeah, and they're open, you know, it's not like you have to sit in the, or at least the ones I've been to on the highways.
Well, I think the meeting is right here.
Yeah, it is.
At
Both of
1,
them.
at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, with very few, and it's open to the public, but very few people are gonna be able to
That's-
attend.
You're
There's
correct.
definitely one from 6 to 7:30 on the calendar,
Okay,
What-
yeah,
on the website.
definitely.
What date?
Thursday.
The 10th.
On the 10th?
I
Okay,
swear-
maybe they're having one in the afternoon and one in the evening.
Maybe. I swear I saw one on the letter I got.
Yeah.
Should be on the website.
So I think the rationale or the thinking behind it was there are people that, as you say, have day jobs and can't go in the day, and so there's an activity in the evening.
Yeah,
But conversely, there are people that have little kids and other things that can't go in the evening that might be able to go during the day. So that, I think, is why they did one of each.
yeah. But here we are, after all this time with the Tinkham Superfund site, and it is still a Superfund site, still leaching out contaminants, and now they've even addressed that it is leaching underneath Gilchrist Road to Boston and Albany, okay? Because it's in the bedrock. So, finally, after all this time, there's going to be some movement to get clean drinking water to these people that have been waiting all this period of time.
Yep.
And I know one gentleman that lives on Boston Avenue. I worked with his father, and the water line goes down Boston. He's not hooked in, but he's very interested in coming and learning. And that being said, I think it's so important that the general public be involved in a lot of this decision-making. And all too often, I just think sometimes we should do more. There are legal requirements that something has to be posted. But beyond that, I just think we can do more to educate the general public.
Get their attention.
I'm trying to figure, I got a letter, and I thought it was because I was at Nevins.
That could be, because I signed up for the town email,
Yeah.
so I get it from that. But you probably are considered an
A
abutter.
letter.
Yeah, well, you're sitting right on top of it. And it's not necessarily going to impact you, because you're on municipal water already.
Right.
But,
It's the town. It's the,
yeah,
Don't play in the dirt, Deb.
I don't garden.
yeah. And by the way, where the Nevins was built back in the day, there was a big area out there covered with sand that nothing grew on. Because they dug up some of that and they just spread it out there. And when they built there, I assume they probably scraped all that off. And then they built on it.
But there was a section of the Nevins, when it first went in, that has no basements, because they couldn't dig down into that.
Well, that's the other part is the air. Because potentially some of it can be still coming.
Or like radon.
Up.
Well,
Out
that's,
of the
that's
ground.
not, you can't
Yeah.
bring that on take them.
No, but I'm saying something could act like.
Volatilize,
Right.
Yeah.
aerosolize, whichever.
Well, thank you
Okay.
for allowing me to speak.
Well, thank you. I don't have anything for new or old business.
I just have an update on the
The finance.
finances. Nothing has changed. We spent nothing and we earned nothing. This is only through May 31st. I don't know that there's no noise about any expectations of any land use change money, so we really didn't get a whole lot this year. So we don't owe the town any, and at this point, we have $1.4 million plus in our account. And Mike sent something about 280 something, we have to, 21,000 and something we have to expect to pay. I had that in my last minutes, and I never put in, we don't really encumber things in this account, so, and we have enough money that we can pay that whenever it comes in.
Yeah, but I think, we've talked about this before, and I know that Marge keeps a little note in her book of everything that we've obligated.
Right.
But this thing that you put together, Deb, is just your own, right? It doesn't come from finance. You created this, right?
I did,
Yeah,
and that's all, well, the information I get from them,
right. But what I'm saying is, you have sort of authorship here, so if you wanted to include a table on funds that we obligated,
I can't, yeah, I thought I was going to, and then I forgot.
yeah, we could do
I was
that.
just gonna put it at the bottom,
'Cause-
but I don't, that's the only number I had was that 21,000 plus.
Yeah,
number.
well, it's, I'm working with DES to include the signs as part of the project.
Well, Marge, sometime if you could just give me that information.
It's in
I'll-
that
I will be
email.
doing a year end. I won't get it until probably next week or later, probably later because it's a year end, June 30th, so, but I
Because-
will include it in the next report. Can you think of anything that,
Well, I do, I write it on the page in my book so that I know when we've approved things. I'll go back, I can't think of anything offhand that's outstanding other than our Lithia commitment.
And we don't, I mean, frankly, we don't know completely what that is. The overall obligation is in that email, and I think it came out to like 31,000, something like that,
okay.
if you include the signs, which I'm trying to do is because I'm trying to convince DES that if the Historical Resource Division is gonna get a veto on the signs, then they need to help pay for them.
I like your logic.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we'll see if they like it. Because we have enough funds that we budgeted for the restoration itself.
All right. So, anybody has any old business or new business?
Let's see. So I think it's looking increasingly like we might actually be able to do the restoration in August when the
Oh,
water's, as
Oh.
low as it can get.
That would be-
It was not clear to me, but I think that they are very close to having, after only, 2 years, agency agreement on all of the terms of the restoration.
Nice.
And I have updated bids, so that's where those numbers come from, and on both the signs and the restoration and the guy that's gonna do the earth moving. So, we're close to being ready to do that.
Do you want to do minutes or non-public first?
let's do the minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't see anything that jumped out. Do you want me to make a motion to approve the
That would
minutes,
be
please?
great.
I so move.
Right.
Seconded.
Motion by Deb, second by Jean. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion passes unanimously. I would entertain a motion to go into non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, Section 2D, to discuss the potential acquisition of property.
So moved.
Second. We
Motion
have to all voice vote that, right?
Motion by Jean, second by Mike, and we need a roll call vote.
I, Mike Speltz.
Hi, Gene Harrington.
I, Marge Bedoy.
I, Deb Levens.
Hi, David Heafy.
Okay. We're off to the little room. We don't have to, we just make a mention that we return from non-public session at 8:38 PM,
Okay.
and we're ready
Sounds
to
good.
adjourn.
I'll move we adjourn.
All second.
All in favor?
Aye.
What's
Meeting
the,
adjourned.
what's the